My gosh, you guys, let's see who we've got here. So we've got all over North Carolina. We've got South Carolina, Fort Bragg, Winston-Salem, Greenville,
in today's
Great Smokies,
Williams thing.
Raleigh, Briar Creek, hello, Charlotte, Chapel Hill, Greenville, Jamestown, Raleigh, Fort Mill, nice. Oh my gosh, you guys are from everywhere. This is so exciting. So keep that coming. I love to see who we have here. So like I mentioned, my name is Sydney Seymour. I'm the regional technology trainer for your region, and I'm actually based in Florida. So we can add a whole other state to this workshop of where everybody is coming from. So what we're going to go through today, and we're going to make this really interactive. So this is not going to be me just like speaking the entire time. We're going to have engagement around this. This is actually a workshop that I put together with the help of Keller Williams University, because what we found was that sometimes a lot of agents, when they're using Command, it feels almost as if there's like all of these different kind of applets in Command, and how does everything really flow together? So the idea of this workshop is for us to take a seller lead, and I have shared the lead sheet with your Market Center. I'm going to drop it in chat so all of you have that as well, and we'll go through that together. But the idea of this workshop is, if we had a seller lead, so maybe we had an open house and we met a seller, or we were doing our daily prospecting lead gen, and we found someone that raised their hand that said, we are interested in selling our house. What would we then do? What would the workflow be in Command? The best practices for us to then nurture that seller lead, schedule the listing appointment, contract to close, closing, and then even post-closing. Because that's what's really interesting with Command, is it's your system for lead to close and then beyond. Everything just kind of cycles back around them. So that's everything that we're going to go through today. We're going to make this really interactive, really engaging. So I'm just super excited to be here with all of you. So before we start, I am just going to drop the lead sheet and we'll go through it together. Give me 1 second, but I'm just going to drop that in the chat just so that everybody has it. So let me just pull that up myself.
Super quiet.
Any questions from anyone just before we dive in? We're good. Okay. Yeah, Robin, I love seeing people in the training room too. So I know a lot of you are joining us from maybe your specific training room or different areas. So I love that we're able to see that. So thank you guys for jumping on. So give me just 1 second while we just pull this up. Perfect. And I think you all will be really excited with, with the property that I picked for us to potentially sell. So give me 1 second while I just put this into chat, and then we'll go through this together. So I'm just going to drop this in chat as a PDF. 1 second.
In here, it's just supposed to be it did help to turn the table signs.
Okay, so I am dropping that in chat for all of you. That's a PDF that you can download. I'm going to share it, so we're going to go through it today as well. So let me just share my screen and let's all just get a really clear understanding of this potential seller that we are working with. I'm just going to mute a couple of you. There we go. So can you guys just give me a thumbs up if you're able to see my screen that should say pre-listing? Perfect. Thank you for that. Does anybody know where you can actually get this pre-listing lead sheet from? Has anybody ever seen this before?
Nope.
So if you haven't, this is actually available in the Win with Sellers materials. So if you go to KW Connect and you search for Win with Sellers, you can download any of the materials. And this is the pre-listing lead sheet, which I like because it just has really great questions. So we're going to build a story around this. So we're going to say that maybe we were at an open house, or maybe we were at a networking event, or maybe we were having conversations with our sphere. Maybe we had a listing and someone called about the sign. Maybe we were at a charity event and we met someone, but we're going to say that something happened. Now, I'm giving you this as an example. However, if you truly have a seller lead, I want you to go through and do the same thing that we're going to do today with your own seller lead. I just wanted to give you this so we would all kind of have the same experience in case we needed it. So the first thing, we've gotten really creative here. So the seller name is Sally Seller. So that's the seller that we're going to be working with today. Her address is 622 North Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, California. And the zip code is the one we all know, 90210. So I figured if we're selling a house, let's make it a luxury one. And so we're going to go through this together. Her phone number is a fake one here. Don't really call this phone number. And then our appointment date. So our listing appointment with Sally is Friday, June 25th, a week from this Friday at 4 p.m. And the location of the listing appointment is going to be at the house. So we're going to be at the actual property. Now, we took our time. We did our due diligence. We had a conversation with Sally so that we could really understand what's important to her in the sale of her property. And we have all of this data right here. So again, this is really that great pre-listing lead sheet. This is a great script as you're having that first conversation with the potential seller. And it just says, do you have about 5 minutes so I can ask you some very important questions before I come out to meet you? So our first question that we asked, and I just took all of the responses that we received from Sally and put them in here. How did you hear about me? So we met Sally at a charity event for a pet rescue. That is how we met this person. Sally is moving to Malibu, California. So she is selling her house in Beverly Hills and she is moving to Malibu. What is motivating her? She's got too much house to maintain. So her house in Beverly Hills is just too large. She's realized that it's like too much for her to maintain on her own. She wants a smaller property. How soon would she like to be there? Ideally, she would like to be in her new property by the end of August this year. So we're looking at maybe 2 months or so by the time we have the listing appointment with her. If we sell your home in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? If yes, what would that problem be? That would not pose a problem. She is ready to go. She's excited to go. So she is ready to move on. And then what would happen if your home did not sell? She's saying that's not an option. So she's got to sell this house. It's too much house for her. She's got to get to Malibu. She wants to be closer to the beach and have less house to maintain. How much do you want to list your home for? See, I picked a really good for us. She wants to sell it for $25 million is what she would like to sell this property for. How much does she owe on the property? She's been making those mortgage payments, you guys. So she owes $12 million on the property. So we have some sort of understanding there of what she's going to net. I'll be sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it before we meet? And she told me, yes, quickly, don't send too much. Time is of the essence for Sally. She doesn't want to have a lot of data that she has to look through. Do you have any questions before we meet? She wants no open houses. So she does not want an open house. She only wants private showings. Will all decision makers be there when we meet? Yes, she is the only decision maker. And then I wrote a couple notes down here at the bottom. She wants a beach house to have her kids and grandkids over, wants an easier lifestyle, only wants to be communicated with via phone call once a week, and wants to know what is going on at all times. I need to find a Malibu agent potentially for a referral. So I want to just, while I unshare this, just have a discussion around this. So if you knew all of this data about this potential seller, what would you do with all of this data to make sure that you're always really aware of this? And you guys can either drop it in chat, you can unmute yourself. Again, we want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you knew all of this data, how would you make sure, how would you keep track of this? What system would you use or are you using? Are you all thinking we're here at the class to find out what system to use and that's why we're here today? Okay, great. Awesome. Let me ask the question a different way. If you didn't know this information or you knew this information, but you weren't keeping track of it, what type of customer experience do you think that would be for your seller? So if you knew all of this, but then you keep asking her, now remind me, where are you moving to again? What type of experience would that be for her?
Not good, because she'd think that you weren't listening. You weren't paying attention to the conversation.
100%. Yeah. What else? How else would that experience be for her as the seller?
Feel like you weren't capable because, you know, you're repeating the same question over and over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the very beginning, we took the time to ask all these questions and they took the time to respond. So we really need to make sure that we're taking this data and this information and we're putting it somewhere, not just for this transaction, but for beyond. Because if we understand that she's moving to Malibu because she wants to have a great life with her kids and grandkids, then we have a reason to reach back out in 6 months and say, how are the kids? How are the grandkids? How's the new beach house in Malibu? So I want you to think about this really as it's not just the data for this one transaction, it's the data to keep this client for life. And how am I managing that? And that's really where I see all of you writing in Command that we need to make sure that we're putting this, we're writing it down somewhere. Perhaps we're putting it in Command. So a lot of you are saying that, notes tied to a contact. I love that. So just some different things where we're making sure that we're tracking all of this. So that's everything that we're going to go through today. So first thing that we're going to start with, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to pull up Command and I'm going to go really slow. So if anybody is following along, number one, I'm going to give you time to actually do this once we go through each section. So I'll give you a couple minutes if you want to do that. Or if you prefer to have Command open and be following along on your screen as I'm doing this, you are welcome to do that. However is best for you is absolutely fine. We're going to get started. We're just going to rock and roll here. Let me just mute a couple people. All right. So give me just one moment while I share my screen and get into my Command. And just a thumbs up if you all are able to see my Command screen here. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much for that. All right, so we have logged into Command. So again, we met Sally, we met her at a charity event. We've got all of her information. We need to prepare for our listing appointment with her. We need to really rock and roll. We need to get started. We need to add her as a contact. So let's think about Command. The way that I think about Command is I think about Command as your smartphone. And so we've got about, let me see, I know we've got training rooms full of people. And then on top of that, we've got 73 people on this call. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. We appreciate it. We've got 73 people plus training rooms full of people. So we probably have over 73 of these smartphones and you all use them differently. Now, all of you use the calculator at a very high level because you're figuring out your commission once you know the price. I understand that, but we all use the smartphone differently. Command is really the same. There's no right or wrong way for you to use it. Today, we're going to go through some of the best practices when you have a seller, but I want you to know that we're going to cover a lot of ground today. I just really want you to take from this maybe the top 2 or 3 things that you really want to implement in your business. Don't feel as if you have to do everything that we're going to talk about today and you have to start it all today. So the first thing that we're going to start with is we're going to talk about contacts. Now, when I log into Command, if you're new to Command or maybe you're not as familiar with it, just a little pro tip here, you can click on the red box up here at the top left at any time, and that's going to open up that window for you. So if you're not familiar with the way the applets display yet, when you open that up, you're going to see a really nice menu and it's going to have the names of all of the applets there. Now in Command, everything starts with a contact. So for us to do anything in our business, we have to start and create them as a contact first. So we're going to go into contacts. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to enter every single detail about my new potential seller, Sally, but I'm going to walk you through the best practices for creating a contact here. And then we'll talk about some really great things that you can do in contacts that'll help you with your business. So again, we're going to go into the contacts applet. That's where you'll have any of your contacts that you already have displayed in there. This is also where you'll be able to add a new contact. Now, if you're new to Command, you can import contacts. You can also add contacts manually. We're going to add a contact manually because we just have one to add. So we're going to click on Add Contact. And then you'll see this box pops up where we have all of Sally's information. So let me I'm going to pull up my sheet again. Give me 1 second. While I just pull up my lead sheet, just so I have it on my other monitor here. Let me switch this out. And then let me just reshare here. Perfect. All right, so we're back in Command. So we're going to add Sally. Now, for those of you following along, if you don't have a real contact to add, just add Sally's details. If you do really have a new lead, buyer or seller, it doesn't matter, take the time now and add that contact information. So we're going to add Sally's first name. We're going to add, and I might already have a Sally Seller in here. So we're going to name mine Sally Sellers. Now I'm not going to put an email because I'll just actually put a test one here, but don't put an email. Maybe put your own if you want to, just so we can do some test things. Again, if you have a real true contact, we can enter that information there. Let me see, I've got her phone number over here. So her phone number we're going to enter right here is 704-555-1234, not a real phone number. And then my lead source type. Now this is really nice because I can actually come in here and I can select from a list. So I might want to come in here and just start typing and say, I met her at some sort of community event, because remember I met her at a networking event. So I might say community event. I am going to mark her as a lead because I'm saying that this is a true lead. And then I might want to tag her as such. So I'm going to say that I met her at a Pet Alliance event. So again, I met her at some sort of networking event. We're going to call this maybe the pet networking event or the community. And we'll even make this a color. We'll do this as gold.
For lunch.
So we're just going to click on that and add that tag. Now, most important thing here is we've entered some details under her as a contact, but we really want to make sure that we're adding.
You can take your water bottle and put it in the back. I'm putting your coffee here.
Hang on one second, you guys. If you can just
Let me have
mute
your water.
yourself if you're bringing coffee. Bring coffee for everyone. We all want coffee for that. So we're going to make sure that we come in and we choose add more information, because we want to add as many details as we possibly can. So we're going to choose additional contact information.
I think I'm on silent here.
And 1 second, you guys. I just want to mute someone so we can make sure. Give me 1 second. Perfect. We should be good. All right, great. So we're going to make sure that we add her home address down here. Now, remember, she told me on that lead sheet, she said at the bottom that she only wants to be communicated via phone call. So I'm going to say that her preferred method of contact is phone call. I just want to have this for my own information. And then I am going to add her home address of her beautiful house, which is, let's pull that up. It is 622 North Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, California. Now you'll see as I start to type, I get suggested addresses. This is based off of Google. So we're going to choose that one. That's the address. And then if I have any other additional details about her, I could fill all of that out down here. For the sake of time, we're just going to choose create. And we're going to create this brand new lead of Sally Seller or Sally Sellers, or maybe you have a true lead. Now, once we've created the contact, we want to make sure that we go back into it. So I'm in all of my contacts. I'm going to search for Sally at the top, and I'm going to go into that contact. So again, I just searched right up here for Sally, and then I'm going to go back into her name, and I'm going to show you something that's really, really important, and I think you'll really love. So we have the ability to track what we call activities with anybody in your command database. So you'll see this is all of my information about Sally, all of the details about her that I just entered. What I want to add is, because I had a conversation with Sally already, I want to remember that, and I want to remember all of the details about Sally. So I'm going to come over here. When I'm looking at my contact, I've got my timeline right here, and you'll see right here I have add activity. So an activity can be a meeting, a phone call, a text, or some sort of task that you've completed. So I'm going to say I want to add an activity because I had a conversation with Sally. So I'm going to say my activity that I had is I had a phone call. We'll say that we had it today, and I'm going to write every single thing here. So I'm going to say met at charity. This is where you guys get to see how well I spell. We met at a charity event for Pet Alliance. Too much house to maintain. Wants to move to Malibu to have kids and grandkids. kids over. And then let's see what else wants to be there by August 2021. And then let's see, owes 12 million, wants to list for 25 million. That's a lot of commas and a lot of zeros. So I would continue to add all of the details that I have that we found out during the phone call or the meeting, whatever we want to call it. Now she has responded because we had that two-way communication. And then I'm going to choose save. And then a couple things happen here that are really important. Number one, when we look at the timeline over here, we see that we had a phone call because it's coded as such. And I see all of the details that we discussed around that phone call. So that's number one. Number two, and this is really, really important. When I go back to all of my contacts, so when I look at all of my contacts that I have in my command database, you'll see that one of the options, let me just undo the search right up here. One of the options that I have right up here is when did I last contact this specific contact? So if I come up here and I click on last contacted and I sort by that, because I entered our conversation as a phone call, it tells me that I last contacted this person 2 minutes ago and it has the date right there. So what I really encourage that you get in the habit of doing is before I'm making my next phone call to Sally or I'm reaching out to Sally, I come into command and I click on Sally and I see what was our last conversation. What do I need to remember about this person? Because remember, in this workshop, we're talking about this particular transaction, but it's really going to be for the lifetime of the transaction that we want to make sure we have a really clear understanding of how we need to continue to communicate with Sally. So I'd love to hear from you guys. You can either drop it in chat or feel free to unmute yourself. How are a lot of you using that add activity button? Has anybody used that before?
So I have a question. So I've used it quite a bit to track
Yeah.
these conversations and I like putting in the notes, but my question is, what are the pros and cons about putting it in an activity and all of those notes from the lead sheet as opposed to just putting them in the general notes about the client?
100%, Leslie. So it's really personal preference. So you can come down and we can put that as general, because if that's always going to be general about this particular contact, we can always do that. I prefer to put it where if we discuss this during this specific activity, I just like to put it there. And I kind of think of general as more things that no matter what the transaction is, it's never going to change. She has 2 dogs. She, loves to do this, whatever it is, because when I have another transaction with her, I can always look back at that.
Okay.
Yeah, but personal preference either way. So a lot of you have used this, some of you not really. Okay, so get in the habit of using that add activity, because when we're looking at a really complete database, the ability to go in and sort by last contacted or that activity is really going to save you. And then again, this is how command was intended to be used, that we log in, we look at the notes, we see the last conversation that we had, and we know exactly where to start the conversation again. We're not having to go back and ask the same questions. We have a really clear understanding of that. All right, so we're going to keep it moving. So Sally is potentially going to be a listing. Sally's going to be a big listing, a $25 million listing potentially. So who wants to either drop in chat? Where is the add activity? Okay, Betty, let me stop for a second because I want to make sure everybody has a clear understanding of this. So that's a great question. So to add an activity, we just have to be in the contact record like we are right now. And then over on the right, we've got add activity right here. And then we've got a drop down menu of what type of activity is this? Is it a meeting? Is it a call? Is it a text? Or is it a quick note? What date did it happen? And then we can write anything we want to right here. So great question. Always going to be in the contact record for that.
So Sydney.
Yeah. Hey, Sue.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
A couple of the folks had it in the bottom. They didn't have it at the top next to view calendar. It was down the bottom right, the plus sign. So I don't know if there's different versions going on or changes.
Yeah, might be. That's always exciting, right? So if we have that, Sue, we can always click on the plus sign right down here, and then we can just click on the add activity button right there as well. So same thing, takes you to the exact same place. We can always click on that and just choose the activity right there. Thanks for clarification on that, Sue. Are you guys in a training room up there? Oh, nice. Great to see you all. Good to see you guys. All right.
We have about 10, 11 in the training room, so you got lots of people.
Hi, guys.
Yay!
Yeah, great to see everyone. Thanks for being here. All right, so question for all of you, and I'll have you drop it in chat, or I'll have you unmute yourself and throw out. So when we know that this is potentially a transaction, what do we want to start in command? What do we want to create? What do we want to start?
Opportunity.
Opportunity. Love it. Oh, this is an amazing class. You guys know your stuff. All right. So yeah, we want to create an opportunity. So we're going to think of opportunities as transactions. So again, I'm just in the driver's seat right here of my contact. And so I could actually create the opportunity directly from here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the opportunities tab right up here. It's going to show me that I don't have any current opportunities with this particular contact, but I want to create the opportunity. So I'm going to choose create opportunity, and then you'll see a box is going to pop up where I'm going to enter all of the details. So we're just going to go through this and enter the information. So again, if you're following along, take the time to actually create the opportunity now. If you have a real lead sheet, you need to create that. Or if you have a fake lead sheet that we're going through together, you can add that as well. So first thing we have to decide is what type of opportunity is this? Is this a listing or is this a buyer? Now this is a seller, so it's a listing opportunity. Now you'll see that the client already shows up because I'm creating the opportunity under the contact card. So it already knows, okay, we're creating the opportunity and this is the contact that's going to be associated with it. I can also add a co-seller. So if there were two sellers, I'd be able to add that here as well. Sally is the only person that is selling this home, so we're going to keep that here. Now, if I know the opportunity address, what should I name the opportunity?
The address.
The address, not a trick question, right? Yeah, so let's make sure that we're getting into the habit of naming our opportunities the addresses. It's just going to make your life so much easier. And I think that your broker in charge is going to love you forever if we continue to do that from the very beginning. So we're going to name this the address of the property. And so again, this is 622 North Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. And then I have custom tags that I can create for this opportunity. So one of the custom tags that I have that I've already created is called luxury. And so this is a luxury house. So if I want to know and I want to tag the opportunity that this is a luxury property, I can do that here. Now, maybe I know that the title company is going to be this specific title company. I can tag that here as well. I also know that Sally said that the reason why she's selling is because she wants to downsize. So I just might want to know that about her. The estimated closing date, I might not know right now, but I have to enter a date and we can come in and change this at any time. Now, from my conversation with Sally, can anybody tell me, when did she say she would like to be in her new home by? August, yeah. So we're going to maybe push this to like, maybe we'll say the closing for this is, we'll maybe say the first week of August. We'll say August 5th. I can change this at any time. This is just kind of an estimate at this point in time. Now, the estimated listing price, you guys tell me, do you list the property for the amount that the seller always wants to list it for?
No. No.
Not always, right? So she told me 25 million. That absolutely might happen. But let's say we think it might actually be 22 million. And then we'll say that our commission rate off of that is going to be 2.5%. And then what phase is this going to be in? So this is a drop-down menu. I'm going to say that I'm in the appointment phase, and because I have scheduled the appointment with her. I haven't kept it yet, but I've scheduled it. Now, here's something really important. I encourage you to get into the habit of creating the opportunity when the seller or the buyer has raised their hand. So often we see that sometimes you're not creating the opportunity until it's a listing and you're having to create the paperwork for it, or it's a buyer and they're under contract. If you're doing it that way, you're missing out on some really fantastic data-driven artificial intelligence specifically for you and your business. And we'll go into opportunities in just a moment and talk about that. But I encourage you, I think of an opportunity as someone has raised their hand and said, we are interested in selling, or we are interested in buying in the next 3, 6, 9, whatever that time might be. So make sure that you're using those cultivate and those appointment phases, because that's where it will really allow you to track and understand your conversion rates, your business, and how to impact your business with all of those. So again, we're saying that this is an appointment and we've scheduled the appointment. Haven't kept it yet because we haven't been on the appointment, but we've scheduled the appointment. So we're going to enter all of those details, and then we're just going to choose create at the bottom of the opportunity. And now you'll see that once I go into that opportunity, I have all of the information. I've got the property address, the stage that it's in, and my potential commission percentage from that. So far, you guys, we've entered the contact, we've entered the conversation that we've had with the contact, we've created a potential opportunity. Now you tell me, prior to the listing appointments, remember our listing appointment is not until the 25th. What are some things, or what are some activities that we might want to do? How would we maybe want to communicate with this potential seller prior to the listing appointment? What are some things that maybe we would want to send them? Does anybody have any suggestions on that?
Maybe some information on getting their house ready to sell.
Okay, love that. So maybe some things as far as like top things to do to get your home ready to sell. Love that. Anybody else, any suggestions?
Thank you card after the appointment.
Oh, I love that. So maybe a nice thank you card. I see pre-listing packet. What else? Anything else we might
about CMAs from her neighborhood of recently sold?
Love that. Okay, so we might want some data for what's selling, just kind of like a little snapshot prior to the listing appointment. I love that. What else? I think I heard a couple other people.
The seller's disclosure as homework.
Carmen, I love that answer. Yeah, so we're going ahead, like we're saying you're listing with me, right? So here's the paperwork, here's what you need to fill out. So we're going to go ahead and send that as paperwork. They're not going to fill that out for multiple people, right? So Carmen's going to win that listing. Love that. Anything else? Anything else you guys can think of? Nope. Okay. So really great answers there. So let's talk about, maybe we want to go in, what if you wanted to send, like, here's an example of a marketing piece that when you decide to list with me, I'm going to create.
Sorry. CMA.
CMA. Love that. Who's that?
You have to do a CMA before anything.
100%.
Internally, you have to do it. And then slowly, you know.
Yeah, we got to do the CMA for this $22
That's the first thing you have to do.
House. Yeah, absolutely. We've got to do the CMA. So we might be using MLS, or we might be using some other platform for that. The biggest thing is, yes, we have the listing appointment, but we don't have the listing appointment for like a week and a half. And so we want to make sure that we're potentially top of mind still with that seller prior to the listing appointment. Someone told me once that we want to make sure that we're face to face to be able to handle all objections. So what I mean by that is, we don't necessarily want to send like, here's what we're going to list your property for. Here's everything. We want to show when you're going to list your property with me. Here's everything I'm going to do to get your home sold. So something that we might want to do is we might want to actually just go into designs. So again, we're going to move outside of the contact right now. We're going to go into designs. So again, we can click on that red box right up here, and then that shows me all of the different options that I have. And I'm going to go into designs, because imagine if you could show up at the listing appointment and you could have, here's the brochure that I'm going to create for your property when you decide to list with me. Here's my quarterly magazine where I'm going to take your listing, I'm going to put it front and center, and I'm going to get that out to my social media audience of 1,500 people. Here's the flyers that I'm going to make sure every single neighbor has. Here's what I'm going to post on my social media, and here's how I'm going to post it. Here's how I'm going to schedule it. So if we can start from the very beginning to really show them our value, and then we deliver on that value, we're probably not only going to get their business, but we're going to get repeat and referral business from this seller as well. So I really encourage you to take a look at designs and see what you have there, not only to market the listing once you have it, but to pre-market the listing. to send them, hey, can't wait to meet with you on the 25th. Wanted to show you a mock-up of what I'm thinking of putting on my social media. Can't wait to meet with you on the 25th. Wanted to show you this brochure, whatever it might be. So we're going to come into designs and we're going to choose the plus sign right down here. And we're going to look at how to best create a design. So we've got social and we've got print. If we were emailing it to them ahead of time, we would probably want to create a social one. We would probably want to bring something with us that might be print. So again, we might bring your quarterly magazine. We might bring a really beautiful brochure that we would leave in the property, but some sort of example of your marketing. So we're going to choose social. Then we're going to choose next. And then what I really love that they've done with the user experience in designs is they've broken this down to make this so easy for you. And once this page loads, I think you'll get a really clear understanding of that. So while that's loading, I'm just going to check in on the chat real quick. So give me 1 second. Add activity. Okay, we got that. Where would you put a referral in the opportunity? Okay, so Sandy, we'll talk about opportunities. If it's a referral, we would actually put that in the commissions tab. So when we're going through and we're creating the commissions and we're submitting everything, we'd be able to put the referral there. If this is a referral from another agent, where would you put that in? And can you stay in touch with the referral agent from this opportunity? Yeah, Evelyn, so we can actually do all of that through referrals. So at the end, I'll make sure we have time to take a look at the referrals applet for clarity around that. Okay, perfect. And then you guys were just answering. Okay, great. Looks like we're all caught up on chat, so we'll keep it moving. So we're in designs. So I'd love to hear from you. Either you guys, you can either unmute yourself or you can drop in chat. What is something that you've made in design that you really love? So have you made something for a listing? Have you made something specifically for a holiday or something? So what's something, how have you guys used design so far? Unmute or drop in chat, whatever you prefer.
I've used it quite a bit for, I've done the magazines, I've done the flyers, the little postcards and mailed out, around properties that I've sold. They have worked really well. They come out really beautiful, and it's like probably the best deal for the price. So
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
59 cents.
Yeah. The designs are really beautiful and the postcards are amazing. I'm so happy to hear you've had a great experience with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Anybody else, anything you've used specifically in designs? Holidays. Oh, electronic business card. I love that. Those are really nice. Okay, great. You guys have some great stuff you're using. So let's take a look at designs, and you'll see over on the left, what I love is how they've really broken this down. So we are potentially working with the seller. So we're going to go into listings. And so maybe we say, I want to create something for social media that says coming soon. And while I might not have the photos of the property yet, I could put in photo placeholders and say, once I have your listing, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create this. I'm going to put this out to all of my social media. So I'm going to choose coming soon. And then I'm actually going to choose, we can just click on the red right up here. And I'm going to choose the social square, because I just want to email this to them just socially. And then honestly, we're just really looking at the layout. So which layout do I prefer for this? So we'll do this one right here. We're just going to use, and I'm just going to show you a couple things that you can do. We won't take time to build it all out. But again, it's important that I think we're pre-marketing the listing. So we're bringing with us items that we're going to do. We're just continuing to show our value. We're doing what other agents aren't doing to really help us win the listing. So understand that designs syncs with your local MLS, which is fantastic. So when we come into designs, we can actually click right here on KWLS and we can search for any property. So I do know that this was an active listing. So again, I'm gonna come in here and be able to search for the listing right here. And so we've got the address of 622 North Rodeo Drive. All right, so we're going to search for that, see what comes up. might not be active anymore. So let me take a look 1 second. Did I spell it all right? Yes. Okay. So we're going to pick, let me find a different one. Hang on 1 second, you guys. Okay, so we'll just pick one of these right here. This might be a listing that isn't active anymore. So we're going to select the listing that we want to actually pull the photos and the listing details in from. And so once I click on that, all of the photos will take just a moment to load. I'll have listing details right here next to that. So a couple things that I like to be able to do is if I click on the photos, all of the photos load right here. I can add the photo a couple different ways. So I can click on it and it'll drag it right in here. I'm going to get rid of that one because we want to actually switch it out. So we'll actually pick, this looks like a nice photo. So I can do a couple things. I can take it and drag it and drop it, and you'll see it just replaces the photo instantly right there. I can also move this photo. So imagine if I could scrunch it in a little bit, if I wanted to add another photo in there, I could do that as well. But one of my favorite things that you can do is actually, we never have to type. So I can come right up here and I can click on listing details, and then you'll see.
Hey, Sydney.
Yeah.
We're a couple steps behind you.
That's fine. I'll slow down. Yeah, I'll slow down in just a moment.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you guys time. Yeah, no problem. So if I want to switch out the address, I can really easily come right down here to where the address is. And then if I've just clicked on that address, I can come right up here to the address and I can hover over these two arrows. They're kind of a circle. So I can just click directly on that, and then it switches out the property right there. So I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to pause for just a moment because I know we did a lot right there. And I want to make sure everybody has time. Give me 1 second just to pause. Awesome. Good catch, Lisa. Thank you for that. So let's keep it moving, you guys. We're going to talk about, we're going to move into campaigns. So for this kind of situation that we're all in together, where we're pretending that we're going on this listing appointment, we're going to say that you went on the listing appointment, you won the listing appointment, and now we want to make sure that we get this out to as many people as possible. So this is we'll say $22 million property that we are selling. And so we really want to make sure that we are getting this out in front of the people that need to see it on social media. And so one of the things that we might want to do is we might want to run a Facebook or a social media campaign about this particular property. So I'd love for you guys to drop in chat just a yes or no answer. Have you ever run a Facebook ad directly through campaigns in Command? So just a yes or no while I just pull up campaigns, if you've done that.
Yes.
Yes, I hear a yes. Thank you. Lots of yes. Okay, a mixture of no, some no, but they're excited. Okay, love that. Great. Okay, so we're going to go through this together. So reminder, we can click on that red box. It opens up the menu. We're able to see everything. Campaigns is going to be next to, I think of this as like a megaphone. So think of campaigns as this is where you get your marketing message out. So once we have something that we want to market, this is how we get it out to the masses for everybody to know about it. So if we just took a $22 million listing, do we want to get that in front of everybody? Yes. We want to find the $22 million buyer or multiple buyers in this situation, right? So we're going to say that we absolutely want to create some sort of campaign. Now we're going to go through maybe some best practices of building out this campaign. So again, if we can kind of backtrack a little bit, we potentially had the listing appointment. We entered the potential seller in as a contact. We entered all of the details right there. And then we went in, we created the opportunity. We're going to move that through the phases as we continue to move on. We created a design piece to be able to email them ahead of time and maybe bring with us. And now we're going to say that we won the listing. They agreed to use us. We're going to deliver on our value, and we want to get this out to the masses. We want everybody to know about this new listing that we just took. So we're going to go into campaigns, and we're going to create a campaign. So when we go into the campaigns applet, you'll see that at the top right, you have a green button that says create campaign. We're going to click directly on that. And we're going to pick here, what do we want to create? Now for this one, we really might want to boost this out and get this in front of people. And so we might say, okay, we want to do a paid social ad. And then we have to give the campaign a name.
Well, this is the one that hasn't worked for me. Now it's just the paid one I can do.
We're going to do sellers A to Z. Give me 1 second. Perfect. And then this is important. So I know sometimes we kind of just breeze through this and we think, what's our goal? Oh, whatever, I want to advertise a listing. Think of what your true goal is here, because what we've done is, because we have so many associates with our company, we're able to determine, okay, if this person is saying, I want to advertise a listing, a couple things happen. Number one, it gives you suggested wording for your ad. And number two, it tells you maybe this is when you might want to be posting this ad. So it gives you metrics based off of what we're saying the goal is. So just a tip, don't just come in here and just pick one of these randomly. Pick the one that is honestly, truly the goal of what this is here. So for this one, we might actually say this is to advertise the listing, because we've taken a new listing and we really, truly want to advertise that. We're going to pick that one. And then where will our where will our campaign run? We're going to run it on Facebook. You can run it on Facebook, you can run it on Twitter as long as you have a professional Twitter account, and you can run it on Instagram. So we can pick all of them or one of them. We're just going to pick Facebook for this one. And then we're going to choose create campaign. Now I'm not going to go through and build out the entire campaign with you, because you have amazing Market Center tech trainers that I know are really knowledgeable on this and able to help you with this. I do, however, just want to talk about some important things that we want to make sure we're doing when we're building out the campaign. So let's search for the address here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see what we've got. Perfect. So we're going to pick this one. So I can pull the listing in. So again, as long as I have approval and it's my listing, or I have approval from the listing agent, I can actually pull the listing in. It'll actually pull and create the ad for me. So you'll see I've picked the listing. I can change the listing at any time if I didn't, in fact, pull the correct one in. It'll create the main copy. Now this is going to pull from MLS. So we just want to make sure, like, is this truly the wording that I want to have for this specific listing? I can enter a headline here. So the headline, we'll just put test, excuse me, headline here. Give me one, there we go. And then the description, and then we might say, okay, we'll use this suggestion, whatever we want. So we can type out every single thing that we want here. Over here on the right, it's going to show us the preview of this ad as we're building it out. Then we're going to come down here and we can pick the media. Now I decided to use an image. I could use multiple images if I would like to. I can also add a video, and you'll see if you click on the video, it'll kind of give you, when I hit select media, it'll tell you video must be shorter than 10 minutes and smaller than this. And then these are the suggested formats for that. So I can pick multiple images where we'll have them as a carousel, or I could pick a video if I wanted to do that as well. Now let's continue to come down, and we want to make sure that we're paying close attention to the Facebook settings. So the Facebook ad is always going to run based off of your business page. Now, again, you might have multiple business pages. Sometimes we find that some people have multiple businesses and different business pages. So you can pick the page right here. And then we have to make sure right here, is this the correct page that we're wanting to pull it from? So just make sure this is honestly where we're wanting to pull it from. I want to pause for a second and talk about the importance of this next section, which is the destination. So let's think of it this way. So somebody type in chat for me, what's the last thing that you clicked on that was an ad, maybe from Google or Facebook, or as you were like just browsing online? Can you think of what's the last thing that you clicked on that was an ad? So I'll have you guys, you can either unmute yourself and give us your response, or I'll have you type in chat. Can you think of what's the last thing that you clicked on that was an ad that you clicked on online?
Flamingo jeans.
Ooh, cute. Oh, skincare. Lots of, okay, skincare. That's me too. Oh, home decor, Sharon. That's a good one. Okay. So let's think about it, right? You might be looking online and you see an ad, bird dog, real estate wholesale class, hair vitamin. Okay, you guys are looking. And then what? It follows you everywhere, right? Here's your home decor. Here's this. Like it just continues to follow you once you click on it, right? So let's talk about this. If you were to click on something on Facebook, so let's look at the ad here together over here on the right. If I were to click right here where it says learn more, here's what would happen. As long as I am saying that the destination is the Facebook lead generation form, which it has right next to it, is recommended, here's what happens. Sally clicks on the learn more. Facebook scrubs her data. When Sally comes into me as a lead, I have all of her contact information that she's allowed Facebook to have. So I might have her name, I might have her phone number, and I might have her email address. By her clicking on learn more, Facebook pulls that data, and when it comes into you as a lead, that information is there. If you are ever running a Facebook ad and you are finding that you are getting lots of impressions, lots of people looking at the ad, yet nothing is happening, 9 times out of 10, we find that you have not picked the Facebook lead gen form. You've picked, I don't want Facebook to scrub their information. I just want the person to go directly to my website. And the problem with that is if it's not scrubbing the data, you're getting lots of people looking, but you're not getting lots of data of their contact information. So we always want to make sure that we're using that Facebook lead generation form, because Facebook will kind of do the dirty work without the consumer even realizing it, of pulling in all the contact data. So that's a really important part. So I just want to stop for a second and see if we have any questions around that, or if we can have a discussion around that. Anybody have anything to add or questions? We're good. Okay, let's keep it moving. So let's talk about what website we actually want to send them to for this. So if you were posting a Facebook ad, you were building out a Facebook ad, what website do you think you'd want them to go to? So you're building out an ad, Facebook's going to pull their data. We can dump them somewhere else that they can automatically go to. Where do we want to send them?
Your website.
Your website.
Yes.
Landing page.
Yes. Great answers. Okay. I encourage you to do a tiny bit more work though. So someone do me a favor. Multiple people can do me a favor. Write in chat your city and the price point, where if homes are listed at that price point, they're under contract in like 7 minutes. So just type in chat for me your area and what's the price point that if something goes active, it's under contract in 2 minutes, 2 seconds, whatever it might be. So let's see what we get from that while I pull something up. Okay. So yeah, it's like wild, wild west out there, right? Fort Mill, 300,000 or less, Chapel Hill. Okay. So kind of all over the place. So one of the first ones that I see here is, we'll do Fort Mill, South Carolina for 300,000. Okay. So here's a tip for you guys. Rather than building out the ad, okay, and saying, okay, the website that I want them to go to is my website. So I want them to go to www.sydneysellshomes.com. That's the website I want them to go to. Let's do a little bit more of a mousetrap. So let's go to your website and let's do the search as the consumer. Now, I know we're talking about, oh, we have a listing appointment for the $22 million house, but let's bring it down a little bit to reality and talk about your local market. So again, I've got Fort Mill, South Carolina, 300,000. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to search under Fort Mill, South Carolina. just gonna mute one person. Hang on one second, you guys. So again, all we did is we went in as the consumer and we searched in Fort Mill or put in wherever you live, right? And that's going to bring me to this page, which is going to show me all of the properties. But if I know that in Fort Mill, if it's listed and it's, I'm looking back, $300,000 or less, it's off, right? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to search for, I don't want pending. So that's already checked off. So that's awesome. I'm going to look at the price and I'm going to roll this down and I'm going to say, show me everything that's 320 or less. And you'll see it starts to change. And so now I've got 8 properties. So this is the link that I want to put as the mousetrap. So what I mean by that is when I'm building out the ad, that's the website URL I want there, because you all tell me if you clicked on an ad and it took you to a page that looks like this, where you kind of have to do a little bit of the work yourself. It's just taking a moment to load. But if you clicked on the ad and it took you to a website where I have to go in and I have to search and I have to do it, it took me to a page that looks like this, you're probably going to look and then leave. Who agrees with me? Yeah, right. We're going to look at it. We're going to say, oh, this is just another home search. I don't want to look at that. If it takes you to a page that looks like this and you're interested in homes in Fort Mill, South Carolina that are $300,000 or less, what are you going to do here?
Scroll through and look at the houses.
Right? I'm probably going to look at the houses, or I might come up here and say, okay, if that's Fort Mill, let me look at a different area. So it's just a longer time of engagement. We find people being on your site longer. We find people because then they can say, oh, this one looks nice. Let me click on this one. And it opens up that property. And so we have additional details. They can ask an agent for more information. They can schedule a home tour, which then is just more coming to you. So please, when you're running the ads for this new listing, you could do it based off of this one property. So let's say this was truly your listing. We were building out the ad for this listing. We could come in here and we could take this link right up here. That's the link that we're going to copy. And that's the link that we're going to drop right in here. Let me just get rid of the first.
Quick question, Sydney.
Yeah.
Does the campaign track the clicks once they are on that landing page?
So it does. It tracks the clicks. It tracks the engagement. More importantly, what we see. So for you to rank higher through Google with SEO, what we need is less of people jumping on your website and immediately jumping off. So if we want to get higher up, we find longer time of engagement, which this tracks that as well. But then also more importantly is if they like this property, what we're hoping is that number one, Facebook scrubbed the data and they came in as a lead that way. But what we're really hoping is then we're able to really weed out who's really interested, because they might have clicked on ask your agent and signed up. And so then we have a lead from the Facebook campaign and we have a lead potentially from your website. So we really see, okay, this is truly maybe honestly a hot lead. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So again, you guys, we'll pause for just a second. Meet the most ideal. Yeah, 100%. One thing I've done before is copy the link of the listing from my website as an award for what they were looking for. Do you feel the search link is better? So it completely, I would tell you, whatever ad you're running needs to be the link you're doing. So what I mean by that is if the ad that I'm running is, oh, okay, got it. If the ad that I'm running is here's the listing, I'm going to take the listing link. If the ad that I'm running is here's the newest homes on the market in Fort Mill, South Carolina for $300,000 or less, that's the link I'm going to put there. Because the last thing that we want is advertising that it's this and then going and it not being that. So we just want to make sure whatever we're saying it is there. Awesome. So that was the Great Smokies. I answered that. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to create the campaign and we're going to say that we're going to run this. Now we can come in here and we can target as well. I feel like a lot of you are probably really familiar with that. We can target anywhere. So we can target any custom audience anywhere across the globe. So for this example, we're saying that this is a luxury listing. So we might find that maybe we don't want to target the people in this area. Some of you that maybe are in the mountains, you might find that you have a ton of people that are moving to the mountains from larger cities. And so you might say, okay, I have a new listing. I'm going to run 2 ads. I'm going to run one here in my local market, and I'm going to run one in the area where people are moving here from. So again, you can run multiple ads at the same time, different areas. We can add different interest, all of that. Your Market Center tech trainers have some really great best case uses for that. So I would definitely encourage you to jump into their next class on Facebook ads, or to maybe have a one-on-one session with them if this is something that you want to dive into, because they're very knowledgeable about this at a really high level for that. So we're going to pause for just a second there. I know we dove deep into campaigns, but I do think when we're talking about sellers A to Z, it's important that every component of the selling cycle, we're advertising that we have a listing. So if we can think back, right, we took the listing, then we immediately created marketing material that we put on our social media. Then once we had the active listing where we had it that we could link to it, we're going to create a campaign to get it out. So we have from this one listing potential buyers that might be interested in the property, but more importantly, we have potential new business because it's potential sellers that are seeing, oh, they did this for that listing and they did this and they did that. So we're just marketing the message out. So I would really encourage you guys, we're going to dive into opportunities for just a moment right now. And we're going to talk about checklist. And here's something that I'm really going to recommend that you work on are the checklist and opportunities. So we're going to go into opportunities. We're going to get into that by just clicking on the red box at the top. And then the opportunities looks like the 2 hands shaking. So we're going to go into what looks like the 2 hands shaking. So if we can remember, we actually created the opportunity for this listing already. So remember when we were adding the contact, we went up to the opportunities tab. We chose to create a new opportunity. So that data is already in there. So I'm not going to take the time to actually walk through creating the opportunity. What I want to talk about are checklists. So real quick, you guys, I want you to drop in chat. Let's say that we're all here together. We've got an active listing and it's not selling. It's a $22 million listing and it's not selling yet. What are some things that you would want to make sure that you're doing? If we were creating a checklist for ways that I'm marketing this listing when it's an active listing, I'll have you just drop in chat or unmute yourself. What are some things that you say, okay, every time I take a listing, I want to make sure that I'm doing all of this when it's an active listing marketing wise. So I'll have you either drop in chat, excuse me, or feel free to unmute yourself. What are some things that you would do? Awesome. Okay. So yeah, we might want to send out a mailer, mail a just listed postcard. We might want to make sure that we're doing social media posts. We want to make sure we're putting it on all of the listing sites. We want to make sure we're tracking how you're marketing it, how it's performing. We might want to put a blog, make sure you're advertising it, Sherry, that's big. So I think sometimes we get like so caught up of like, okay, I took the listing, now I got to find the next listing. And so we're a company of systems and models and tools. Opportunities really allows you to build that out and have your true checklist here. So I'm going to talk about this listing as an active listing and some things that we might want to make sure that we're doing. Before I dive into this, I want to make sure just this is a yes or no. You can drop it in chat or you can unmute yourself and tell me that way. Have any of you ever used checklist in opportunities at all? So just a yes or no in chat.
Yes.
Yes. Yay. Okay, I love them so much. They're near and dear to my heart. So we're going to talk about them together. So just a yes, not really, no. Oh my gosh, I just love to teach this so much because this is going to help you. So I'm so excited to kind of end with this, you guys. So we're going to go into opportunities. I'm going to go into that luxury listing that I am working on, which is this one, 622 North Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. So I think we're all kind of familiar with getting into the opportunity. We've created the opportunity. We're good with that, right? I want to talk about checklist items. So I'm going to click directly on the opportunity. It's going to take me into my opportunity right here. You're familiar with this. This is how you get into DocuSign. This is how you create offers, commissions. This is how you do all of that. What I want to talk about is right up here. So for me, it says 0 out of 7. For you, it might say 0 out of 0 if you've never created checklists. So we're going to come right up here and you're going to see that this is the checklist that is associated with this particular opportunity. Now, if you've never created checklists, I'm going to go back out because I just want to show you, and we've got tons of videos on our YouTube channel. Your Market Center Tech Trainer can help you with this as well. When I go into my listings that are under the appointment stage, I've got edit stages right up here. And so I've got listings that I'm scheduling the appointment. I've scheduled the appointment. Remember, we said we're in the scheduled. And then I've got listings that I've kept. So right here under the scheduled, you guys broke out some really great things of what we might want to do to market when it's an active listing, but we can talk about different things here as well. So maybe when I'm scheduling the appointment, I'm going to come right here and I want to make sure these are all the things that I'm doing when it falls under that. And we can do the same thing. Let's move over into, we'll go back into appointment. Let's go into the active listing and we'll say that we're in the staging section. We can come right up here. We can go to edit stages. It's a one-time setup. And I bet your Market Center has amazing checklists that they could share with you for this. So imagine if every single time that your property was in the showing stage, this checklist automatically came up. We want to schedule the brokers open. We want to take flyers to the property so that anybody previewing it or viewing it sees those. We want to create a social media ad. We want to email the new listing to my entire sphere. I want to create a just listed postcard. I want to schedule the open house. So we've got every single thing that you can do here. We can even assign a due date if we want to do that. But what's nice is the checklist will always show up under that phase. So as I start to move, so let's say that this listing is now an active listing. So we come in here where we've got this right here. We take that card, we move it right up here to active, we drop it. And then you'll see when I go into my active listings, it shows right over here and the checklist is automatically assigned to it. So I just want you to understand checklists and how they work. I want you to really take some time to build out those checklists. It's a one-time build out. And then every time that something falls under that stage, that checklist is going to be applied to it. So I always get questions. So I love, this is awesome. Didn't even know this existed in Command. I hope this was like, this 2 minutes was worth the wait of this class. Is emailing to Sphere an option that can be done through Command? Yeah, absolutely. So you can do an email through Smart Plans, which we'll touch on in just a moment. You can do anything there. Can you assign checklists to your team? Yes, you can. So you can assign any item to a team member if you are running a team. Does the checklist move with the opportunity? Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see right here, I've got 0 out of 8 items. If I take this and I move this one over here, you'll see that then the checklist changes because I only have 6 items right here. So as we move it through, the checklist is always going to be there. Where are we able to create the checklist? Yeah, so when we're in opportunities, you've got edit stages right up here. You have the ability to come in and to create your checklist right there for you. Can you share? You're speaking my language, Great Smokies. I'm so excited. Can you share with a client? Here, this is it. Like this, we could end the class after this, you guys, because this is just going to be so good. So let's go back. Let's pretend that we're at that listing appointment. And we know from Sally that Sally said to me, I only want to be communicated with, maybe she said once a day. Don't call me all the time. I want to know what's happening though. So imagine if you could sit at the kitchen table with your seller and you could say, Sally, I understand that it's so important to you that you know what's happening at all times in the transaction. So Sally, I'm going to make you a promise. Let me ask you first, when do you read your emails? So when would be a good time for me, maybe every day or every few days, to reach out to you? And Sally might say, I read them at 5 p.m., right? So I'm going to say, okay, Sally, here's my promise to you. Every single day that we do something to move this transaction to the next step, I'm going to make sure that you're aware of everything that we're doing. How does that sound? And Sally's going to say, that sounds amazing. So here's what you all have at your fingertips that I really encourage you to use. Now, the first step is we have to have checklists created first. So that has to happen first. So get with your Market Center tech trainer if you need clarity on that, but checklists have to exist first. Then once we have the checklist, we have, when we go into any opportunity, you'll see that you have client updates up here at the top right. I have the ability to turn client updates on or off for every single checklist and every opportunity. So if I say, I want to send daily progress emails for this opportunity to Sally, it'll even ask me what time do I want to send it at. So if Sally tells me I read my emails at 5 and I say, I promise you, you're going to have it by 5, I'm going to send this at 4:30 every day. And then who do I want it to be sent to? So I've got her as the seller, but let's say sometimes you have maybe 3 or 4 sellers and you want all of them to receive it. I could add as many contacts as I want to here. And then I'll show you what it looks like. So if we click on preview, it's going to have your branding at the top. It's going to say Sally seller. We're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of tasks completed for. It's going to have their property address right there. If you've pulled it in from MLS, it'll have the photo. It'll do the same thing for buyers, just without a photo. And right here, it would say, we've posted it on social media. We've sent out a mailer. We've entered it on all of these websites. So it will show you every single thing that you have done, and you can determine what you want them to know about. So I'll show you what I mean by that. When we go into the checklist, you'll notice that next to every single item, we have client update. So if I want the client to be updated when I schedule the brokers open, I just check that box. So I can come in here and decide which of these do I want the client to know about. And then what happens is the second that I come in and say I've completed this task, the system holds on to everything that I complete in this scenario by 4:30 p.m. and sends that email to Sally saying, here's what's been completed. If tomorrow at 11 a.m. I come in and say, I created a social media ad, tomorrow at 4:30, she would get an ad saying, here's what we've done for you today. So I understand that for you to win the listing, communication is so important. If you can tell the seller that you're going to do this and then deliver on what you said you would do, you're going to have the best experience for your consumer during this, but you're also going to gain so much repeat and referral business from this seller. So again, checklist have to come first, then we can decide the client updates. So that was a question. Are the checklists already put together for you? Yeah. So Betty, check with your Market Center, because a lot of times each Market Center has a really fantastic checklist that they can share with you. So check with them for that, and then you can customize it yourself as well. So what do you guys think about the client updates?
I love that.
Love it. Yeah, good. Yeah, this is like, it's delivering on what you said you would do at the highest level. We know that the number one thing that people complain with about real estate agents is lack of communication. So I always tell you, put systems and models in place for your business as if you were doubling your business. So if you have 5 active listings right now, let's pretend you had 10. And then what sort of systems will we need to have in place? And this is really one of them. Is the only option once a day? Yeah, so it is once a day. Now you can communicate with them as much as you would like to, but when we did some labs with consumers, they felt as if once a day would be absolutely the most that they would probably want to see it from that. All right, final tip for all of you guys. What I want you to do is, as you're creating out your checklist, so this kind of ties into checklists, this kind of ties a little bit into smart plans. One stage that I think is a little underutilized in the opportunities is the closed stage. So let me just move something into closed so we can take a look at this together. So we'll say that this is now closed. So we'll move this opportunity up to the closing date here. We'll say today it closed. We'll go into this. I recommend that you have a checklist when you have closed it. And so the checklist might be update your MLS in your database, add everybody to your database, deliver a closing gift, ask for referral, set up client follow-up. So I want to talk about smart plans. I know we think so often of smart plans as that's where I have to continue to make sure that I'm like converting leads, converting leads, converting leads. Smart plans can really do the heavy lifting after we've closed a buyer or seller. So again, smart plans can be a mixture, we know, of task reminders, phone call reminders, emails that automatically go out, text messages if you have Twilio linked up. So what if you went into your smart plans and you either searched in the library or you created your own custom post-closing smart plan? And so it might include some items such as asking for a testimonial, asking if they know of anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, adding them to the monthly neighborhood nurture. So we can go into smart plans and we can search in the library, and I might search under description. Remember, you've got like close to 1,000 smart plans you can choose from Keller Williams Associates, from Keller Williams, our headquarters. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to search for under description. I'm going to do post closing and just see what pops up. Post closing follow-up plan right there. Buyer post closing. So it's a featured one. This is a follow-up post closing. The plan checks in on the client, asks for a review, thanks them for the review, and then puts them on a nurture. So if we could add this to our library, it's constantly and consistently following up with them post close. And then to make sure that you're actually doing it, add to that opportunity checklist that you want to add them to this post closing follow-up plan. We could even take it a step further. We've got tag triggers. So if you tag them as closed, you could say then they're automatically added to the smart plan. So you could add that as well. So just think of, now that the transaction has come to an end, what are some different things that I want to do? How can I make sure that I'm following up with them? Do I have them on a monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan, a post-closing smart plan? So just adding that to the checklist for that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Sandra, what I meant by that is, am I adding, like, did I have the vendors, right? So do I have title in as a contact? Do I have the lender, whoever that might be? So adding that. Sable, what's the best seller post-closing plan? So I always say the best smart plan is the one you're going to use. So I usually look here at, like, this one has 3,500 agents that are using it, and it really has like a 4.5, almost a 5-star review. Shannon's awesome. So I'm going to say this is probably going to be a really great one. Plus it's featured. So that means that Keller Williams has seen a great uptick in this. So we just want to make sure that we're really looking at the metrics to understand which of those might be best for that. All right, so I'm gonna just stop the share really quickly with you guys. We've got about, I wanna be aware of your time. I know you spent 90 minutes with me here today, which I appreciate so much. But I just wanna make sure, are there any questions or anything we didn't discuss or anything that we need clarification around?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So 2 things actually. One, the attachments that came out in the meeting planner, I'm unable to access. Is there another way to get them?
So the Market Center has them, so you can reach out to your Market Center. It was just a fake lead sheet that we were using for it, though. I added it to chat in the very beginning, so I can add it there as well again.
Okay, that would be great. And then the other question is, since you're recording this, is there an opportunity for us to get that link to the recording? Because I missed the first 30 minutes of this, and it's been fabulous. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if you just go to YouTube and you search for KW Carolinas Region, that's our YouTube channel, and we post all of our classes on command and technology there. So this will probably be uploaded by end of day today, if not first thing tomorrow. So just KW Carolinas Region, and it'll take you directly to our YouTube channel.
Wonderful. Thank you. This was really great.
Oh, good. Thanks for being here, Sue. Anyone else, you guys? Questions? Anything I didn't discuss that we would like to dive into? Oh yeah, I think Betty, go ahead. You're muted. So if you want to just.
Okay. Yeah. I was asking, I put it in the chat. How do I edit smart plans?
100%. So you can edit any smart plan when you go in and you add the smart plan to your library. You'll see that over to the right will be a little pencil icon. And
Okay,
that will let you go in and edit anything you want in it.
that's too simple.
Yeah, the pencil icon is going to be your best friend for anything that you want to edit. And Betty, you can not only edit the wording, but if this smart plan starts with an email and you think I'd actually like it to start with a phone call, you can actually move the order of the steps in the smart plan as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can edit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great question. Thanks for being here. Anyone else, you guys, any questions? All right, I'm gonna just pause or end